Hi everyone, Justin Pate from the Wrap Institute, and in this video I want to give you some great tips and tricks on how to get the right pricing and install protocol for interior wraps. So this is not an installation tips and tricks video, it's more about sales and workflow protocol, which is extremely important. More and more I think a lot of wrap shops are going to be getting into interior films. Let's say you've been doing a lot of color change wraps or PPF, or you've been doing a lot of, let's say, commercial wraps on walls and floors. If you get into interior wraps, it's a slightly different world and protocol, so you have to get the right formula in order to ensure those profits. And basically what I really want to emphasize in this video is a two-tier pricing and workflow protocol that's really important to get, especially with those interior wraps. So for example, take these cabinets, all right? And then everything I'm telling you right now can apply to, let's say, doors or different types of interior wraps as well. But let's say a client calls you up on the phone and they say, I want to wrap these cabinets in the office because they're white, kind of boring. Let's spice it up. All right, so you have basically two options that you really want to sell them. One is basically what I call the economy approach, but you don't want to call it economy. And the other one's kind of more that full kind of first class service, which is in the sense that, let's say you have the cabinets here and you have the first option is just to wrap the face. You're not going to open the door and wrap around the sides or do the corners. So it's just, you're not going to wrap around to the side here, you're just going to cut it flush to the face. That's option number one. Option number two is wrapping all the way around and doing the corners. So you really have to have that segmented. And here's why, all right? So basically the idea is that if you wrap just the face, what does that mean in terms of install? It means in this case, with these cabinets, generally interior film is around 120 centimeters wide, or let's say 48 inches wide, where here, once you take the handles off and the keyhole, you can actually drop one panel here, keep the cabinets closed, and you can cut on both sides and cut on the sides here. Flush cut, angled in, lots of good tips and tricks on the Wrap Institute on how to do that cutting. But basically the emphasis is you drop one panel, two panels, get really solid cutting, don't even have to really open the doors at all, put the hardware back on, and you're out. Quick and clean, and it still looks good. The other option is that full coverage, what I was talking about. What this means now is instead of dropping one panel, for in this case 2 doors, you're gonna have to drop 4, one for each door. And that means when you get to this one here, you're gonna have to make sure you open it and then wrap around. And depending on what you're wrapping, let's say like a kitchen, for example, you're gonna have to start doing corners. So what does that mean? It means that you might have to use more material. It also means longer install times, and it also means that you have a higher chance of failure because you're wrapping the material around, especially on those corners that might lift. You might get a call from a client, let's say in a month, saying, I have a couple corners that are loose, can you come tidy them up? Totally get it. So that's the price you're paying for wrapping that full coverage. So very important. And again, the pricing point is no different than, let's say, when you do a commercial wrap, right? There's two ways of doing commercial wraps. One, not doing the door handles and mirrors. The other, doing door handles and mirrors. So for me, I want to come back from, let's say, that car example to cabinets and stuff like that, or how are good ways to sell that to a customer, right? Because most customers say, I want the full coverage, but you have to kind of get them on price and install time. So one good way to kind of get the client just to go for the face wrap and not wrapping all the way around, because the face wrap for me is in many ways the best one, is what we talk about on the Wrap Institute is oftentimes you want to make sure that the color of whatever you're wrapping is in the color of what, color of what you're wrapping is in what you're wrapping. So in this case, this is a nice marble print and it has a little bit of white in it. So what that means now is, let's say I take off the entire liner and I come on over here and I'm going to just apply it right now. And because the cabinet is white and there's a little bit of white in the piece I'm putting on, I basically can put it on here, squeegee it on, awesome. Come in with my knife right now. I'm gonna grab my knife right here, run my finger from top to bottom, and again, do the angled in cut, very straightforward, top to bottom, looks nice and clean, cool. Pull away the excess film, and you can see that nice white line kind of matches what's in the print or on the interior film, and you're good to go. So you open it, you don't have to wrap around to the edge, awesome stuff. And so for me, this is very aesthetically pleasing. You get the benefits of the transformation, but in terms of the install, super, super low. Durability, super high, great combination. So you're gonna pass it on to the client in terms of giving them a nice, good, clean price for that type of install. But then let's say we switch it around. Let's say the customer really wants green, and then they want to go for the full coverage in this case. So I'll show you the option in terms of install, and I'll just put it right over the piece I just installed, is now I'm going to put this piece on top, squeegee it on, and now I'm going to open the cabinet, and you can see that can be a little tricky with interior film. I now have to do the extra rub on the corner so it goes down nice and tight because interior film is thick. run this top to bottom. Now I switch over here and cut it off. Angle it in, top to bottom, cool. Run my finger, close the cabinet, and good. Now I got that full coverage, but mainly because I'm adding a color that doesn't match what I'm wrapping. So again, this is not black and white. It always can vary per customer, but now, because my install time basically goes up twice, keep that in mind, or even more for this type of wrapping, now I have to wrap in multiple pieces, you have to pass that on to the client. So if you don't pass it on to the client, and let's say you charge level 1 price, which is cutting flush to the face, and you install it like level 2, your profits go down dramatically. And oftentimes your salespeople don't quite appreciate it. They just think, oh, it's a cabinet and flat, and they don't think how much extra time it takes the installers to wrap around. And that's a very, very big one. So this video is mainly for salespeople and shop owners, not necessarily for installers, because the installers got to do what they're told to do. But in this case, I think it's very important to think level 1, level 2 when it comes to interior wraps, because if you get that sweet spot, not only is it going to help you ensure your profits, but it's going to help you ensure your workflow. Because if you can really make sure you schedule accordingly. If I know that I'm just wrapping the face, I schedule a very quick, straightforward install. If it has to be wrapped around, you better schedule accordingly, longer install time, so you make sure your schedule is nice and tight. So again, lots of things to think about with interior wrap, but it doesn't have to be super complicated, just have to have the right formula, and then you're good to go. So I hope this helps you ensure your profits for interior films, because again, for me, interior wraps are definitely a good profit and revenue stream. Thanks for watching. Justin Payton.